everybody, back again on a Monday. October 20th is actually the date, and I'm doing another budget deck videos. If you haven't seen this before, I'm going to go through a couple of decks, bronze through gold, under 5k dust, and above a 50% win rate. The idea here is I'm going to find some decks that you can play Hearthstone with without needing to take out a payday loan. First, let's look at the meta a little bit. Win rates today. This is just today. Look at all the live data, back and forth, back and forth. Warlock at 52.7%. That's a big win rate. I'm thinking that it used to be Paladin up here. Last time I did this, I think Paladin was rocking and rolling for weeks and weeks and weeks. Demon Hunter is number 3. Death Knight is number 4. Priest is number 5. Wow. Rogue. When I last did this, Rogue was at like bottom of the barrel. But then we've got Hunter, Warrior, Druid, Mage, and Shaman. I would think Hunter would have a little bit more power right now, but okay. Warlock and Paladin and Demon Hunter and Death Knight. Those are the 4. If you've been playing Hearthstone for a little bit, you've probably seen at least one of those decks. Egg Warlock is a little broken and nutty, but we won't talk about that right now. Let's look at some of the classes. So this is just from the latest patch 33.4.2. Just wanted to look at the classes. So there's several decks for Death Knight. The only thing I'm thinking is a problem with Death Knight is it's just so expensive right now. All these decks with the win rates are like 20k, 20,000 dust. Too much. Demon Hunter as Pain Demon Hunter, that's not too bad. I think it's like 6 to 8k, but we have a couple others above 50%. Druid is looking terrible right now. A couple of ones, Dollhouse Druid wants to go up, Aggro Druid wants to go up, but don't play any other decks, or don't really play Imbue Druid. Imbue was such a fun mechanic. Too bad it didn't do as good as everybody was hoping. Hunter, you have Beast and you have Buff, but Beast is pretty strong. Look, 130,000 games compared to 3,400 for Buff Hunter. Maybe Buff Hunter's going to do something. I don't think Buff Hunter's going to do anything. Mage, you've got Protoss Mage. You know, in certain instances, Protoss Mage is nutty. Elemental Mage is huge. We're going to talk about Elemental Mage today. And then Big Spell Mage is also nutty. As much as they don't have on the popularity side, there's a lot of games being played with those two decks, Protoss and Elemental. They're strong. They're very strong. Paladin, listen, I can't believe we're going to actually be talking about a Paladin deck today. That is not Murloc Paladin, no Quest Paladin, but it's still strong. Aggro Paladin is beating it up. They're 61.1%. And then Imbue's fun. It's just not very strong. Imbue has problems with survivability on anything past turn 6 or 7, especially with like Death Knight. Death Knight is just running through Imbue Paladin. I played a few games the other day, and I couldn't get past anything on the Death Knight side. So Priest has got a couple options. You know, Priest is good, but the only problem is those are expensive decks. Rogue, see, Fryak is on here, but to me personally, hey, listen, I'm not a fan of Fryak Rogue, so I won't be playing it. But if you're not playing Fryak, you're not playing anything right now, because the rest of them are just kind of broken. Remember, this is bronze through gold. Elemental Shaman and Nebula Shaman. We're going to talk about Elemental Shaman. Today's an elemental day, and we'll get into that in a few. And then you have Warlock with Quest and Egg. No shocker there. Quest is super strong. Egg is super strong. We have the amount of games to play it. This was one of the most popular ones. And then you've got a couple of Warrior ones, but it's like Dummy and Taunt and Dragon. No one's playing them. Well, maybe a little bit on the dummy side. Maybe, okay, I'm wrong. There is people playing, but not as much as like Quest Warlock. 340,000 games to 12,000 games. It's just no comparison. Yeah, going over it. Death Knight, like I said, and most of these average decks are like 18k. Pain Demon Hunters at 51, 54, 76. Druid's very expensive. Dollhouse is 12k. So Beast Hunter, you got some stuff here with Beast Hunter. Didn't see enough of this, so I'm not talking about Beast Hunter today. Maybe it'll eke out a deck, talk discussion on the budget side. Next week, Elemental Mage. We're going to talk about Elemental Mage. Paladin is super cheap because it's Quest or it's Aggro. That's it. Priest. Okay, so Priest is like 7 to 10k. Okay, so I wasn't too off on that. But it's not being played a lot. Not being played a lot at all. Fryak Rogue 17k, so maybe that's the reason why I thought that Bryak Rogue was not that great right now. Great win rate, but it's so expensive. Shaman's got some options here, you know, a little bit more expensive than we're used to talking about, but the Elemental Shaman, I think this is the most expensive deck we're going to talk about today, and it's got a good win rate. And then, like I said, Warlock Quest and whatever that is, Warlock deck, Quest and the Egg, it's about 7 to 8k, give or take a few, on the Arcane Dust side. And then Warrior's the same thing, 7k, 13k, 14k, 13k. See, you know what I'm saying here. We're going to talk about 4 decks. Like I said, they are less than 5,000 dust. Let's get right into it. Aggro Paladin, here's the first one. Aggro Paladin started going a little bit crazy on the popularity right around the 19th of September. Then it just flew through, and then it's staying steady, but it's more than it was, you know, on the 19th. And then the win rates go back and forth, but listen, the win rates are good on this. This deck is really good. It's 2,800 Arcane Dust with a 64% average win rate. And truthfully, it's very simple to play, very easy to play. You get small minions on the board, and then you buff them up. You're going to buff them up with Crusader Aura. That's a good one. You're going to go ahead and have a couple of these things. Righteous Protector. Imagine that at +1/+1. Come on. Vicious Slither Spear after you guys spell. There's not a lot of spells in here except for the, you know, get a 1-cost rock that deals 3 damage. So yeah, you're putting sticky minions on board, keeping them on the board. So you see this Reborn, perfect here. You know, Platosaur just to get another card out. Beaming Sidekick to give friendly minions +2 health. Keep them on the board, keep them sticky, especially this one here. You know, Flash Sale's great, 4 mana. Summon a 1/2 mech with Divine Shield. Turn 5, turn 6, turn 7. You can throw a whole bunch of stuff on the board and then give your minions +1/+2, and then just use Crusader Aura. You know, before they know it, they are losing. Earthside Maul is, you know, there for you to pull out your Ziliax when you need it, and Ziliax is using the Pylon, so it gives a +1 attack to the other minions, and then 1 less for each friendly minion. So this is a very fast deck. Yeah, look at that. 5.2 minutes is the match duration. It's a good deck. It's easy to play. There is easier decks out there. If you have the gold, if you have the dust, and you want to play Paladin, you have to play Paladin. I think an easier deck in my opinion is Murloc deck. But this one is pretty cheap. 2,880 dust, and I believe the Murloc Paladin is around 4 right now. So that's the difference there. Next up, Menagerie Death Knight. Now this is losing a little bit of popularity, but I think it's losing a little bit of popularity because people are figuring out what to do with it. But the win rate is going up. Win rate is going up. Okay, this has to be some sort of anomaly because it says the win rate right here is at 72.4%. It's not right. It's not correct. Menagerie is 1,380 Arcane Dust with a 54.8% win rate. Don't forget, all the deck codes are below. Menagerie is just a bunch of stuff. Remember Mermy? He was in the last conversation we had. This one, I mean, you're going to be able to put stuff on board or do 4 damage to a minion. Monstrous Mosquito, we know what this will do. Keep this or put this on your board when you have a bunch of other stuff, and they're going to stay there for the little bit. Whenever you play a Death Rattle minion, give it Reborn. So remember, Corpsicle is your friend. Creature of Madness gets you a free minion with Dark Gift. Yeah, Dark Gift. Dreadhound, Handler, Frost Strike. It's just a bunch of small cards. Look at this. The highest mana cost card is Menagerie Jug at 5. Foam Render. This is good. I mean, listen, you're going to have the corpses, so you'll be able to keep this going for as long as possible. Thessarian just helps you, keep something, on board a little bit longer because it's killing some of those random enemies, especially if they're low cost. And then Horizon's Edge. Listen, Horizon's Edge is fun. Deal 3 damage, randomly split among all enemies after a friendly minion dies. Reopen this. You're gonna have a lot of stuff die. And then Ghouls Knight, 5/1/1 ghouls that attack random enemies. Potentially get yourself a board clear with that, depending on what you're doing. And yeah, this one is a little more difficult to play. Tested it out a little bit, and I was like, okay, In the right situations, bronze to gold, this is good. You know, I'm picking this because it's 1,380 dust. There's not a lot of new cards in here, so this is something that, you know, could be probably easily built by someone who's been playing on and off for a few months. And yeah, it's pretty easy, you know, in terms of budget, but it is a little bit more difficult. There is more Death Knight decks out there that are much more expensive, but they're also much easier to play. Let's get into elementals. First up, Elemental Shaman. This is kind of flatline. Popularity, it's a sleeper. It's not really popular right now. And I think there's just other things being played right now, but the win rate, I mean, look, for the longest time, up until the 14th of September, this win rate has been pretty consistent above 50%. Yeah, look, the only time it went is 50% is on the 11th of October, so it's very good. This one's at 4,080 dust, 4,060 dust. The biggest thing that you're going to have to buy is City Chief Esho. That's it. And don't you even get this, like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought you got this one for free, but I could be wrong on that. This one's the Battle Cry. If every minion in your deck shares a minion type, give your other minions +2/+2 wherever they are. You want to mulligan this out as quickly as possible. If you have the coin, save it for this or what have you. You want to get this card out and play this card as much as possible, because +2/+2 to all these little small minions are going to be great. All these small elementals, you'll be able to do some fun stuff with it. And it's just, listen, it's elemental deck. Mission 1 is to get that Esho out. The second step is play a bunch of elementals until your opponent can't breathe anymore. Volcanic Thrasher, this one's awesome, especially with, you know, Kindred or what have you. Plus, you also have your hero power that could potentially, you know, maybe put a taunt on the board or what have you to keep your opponent from smacking you in the face. And then look, deal 4 damage, give your elementals +1/+1 on the board. There's 2 of them. Lava Flow is also good, even though the Overload, listen, Overload's going to be Overload. And then this Ultraviolet Breaker, deal 3 damage to an enemy minion and then shuffle 3 asteroids into your deck. So it's very versatile. Very cool. I like to use Cloud Serpent with, you know, Ultraviolet, you know, Volcanic. There's a bunch of stuff that you're going to want to sit there and work towards. But again, it's versatile. You can do a lot with this. Easy to pilot. I think, you know, it's really just jamming the elementals that you have in hand. And, you know, at a 60% win rate for 4,060 dust, it's not bad at all. Next up, the last one we're going to talk about today is Elemental Mage. Look at the popularity, just flying. And what I mean by that is flying. It's at 2%, 3%, 5%. It's not crazy, but it's cheap. 1,640 dust, and the win rate is 60.8%. Look at the win rate. It's just all up there. All up there. Hasn't dipped in 50% in over almost 2 months. It's also super easy to pilot. So you're jamming elementals as much as possible. While you're jamming the elementals as much as possible, you have a couple of spells here and there, whether you want to knock out one single minion on your opponent's side, or you need to do that final push, 6 damage in their face to cause them to be gone. And then look, you're going to use this here, 4 damage to a random enemy. If you played an elemental last turn, which you're going to, it chooses the target. And then it's just minions. It's minions. This one right here gives you another elemental. This one right here gives you another elemental. Glacial Shard freezes something. 2 damage randomly split among all enemies. It's perfect. Blavatar, this one's great as well because the Death Rattle summons the poisonous and then the taunt as well. There's so many options here. You'll be able to play any one of these cards and do a great job no matter what you're doing. And then yeah, Solar Flare, deal 2 damage to all enemies, costs 1 less per each elemental you control. So 3 or 4 elementals, boom. This is a very cheap spell. Just be aggressive with this deck. Try to go ahead and put this deck down. And then look at this one. Look. Windswept Page Turner. After you summon an elemental, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. Don't forget what that is about. That is because you have a whole bunch of small ones. Yeah, you can do some damage with this one. Pretty easy to pilot. Be aggressive with this deck. You know, don't lose an opportunity to hit an opponent in the face instead of messing with that little 1/2 or 1/3 minion on the board. It's just not worth it. Hit him in the face. Keep on going. And that's really all I have. We're gonna come back and do this again next week. I'm back working on Hearthstone content again, and I will be keeping a quick eye out, and then everything I do with the new expansion that's coming up, the mindset will be what is the best options for a budget player. That's going to be my main thing, is trying to see how we can do this as cheaply as possible, because I don't want you to take out a second or a third mortgage to play Hearthstone. I want you to do it as, as low cost as possible. That's it. I'll see you in the next video.